What's up, YouTube world? It's your boy J Dub, the number one comment on YouTube, and I'm back for another review. But before I get into this review, I know what y'all saying. J Dub, what is that? What is that? This is a tribute to my boy Andre. R.I.P. He's off the show, and I had to send him off right, and show my support. So I know it's gonna be hard to get through this video with this up there, but we're gonna do our best. So it's the last time you're gonna see this. But as I said before I get into the review, I am YouTube's number one commenter, and on this channel, it's all about the comments. Now, I do need you to like, comment, especially comment, because it's all about the comments. Subscribe and definitely share this one for those who ain't seen it. This is Ready to Love, and this is season 7, episode 4. This is the Advocate Sue. So let's just go ahead and get into it, because like on this one, I probably wrote about every scene down pretty much. So we gotta hurry up and get through this one. So it starts off with a few of the guys. We got Blue, Mark, Anthony, Tony, and Blake, and they out on the pier fishing or whatever. I guess trying to make it seem like they just catching up to find out, who they're connected with and everything. And they got their fishing poles on the beautiful Miami water. And guess who show up? Here come Tommy. He talking about, he want to know why he ain't get invited. Like he one of the fellas or whatever. And he's there messing with the guys, but he's really there just to give them the next assignment. And he's pretty much telling them they're gonna be put in a setting where they're gonna have a Miami party for all the sexy singles, and they're gonna be there and deliberate to see which lady goes home next, because this week is the ladies' turn. And I'm thinking, like, when I'm looking at all the guys, I'm like, where the rest of the fellas at? Are they supposed to tell a guy, like, we got a Miami yacht party and we got to eliminate another lady or whatever? But it's all staged or whatever. But that's what they've been doing, basically. They've been like highlighting particular guys and not like going around in rotation or whatever. But before we get into Tommy's Miami yacht party, we have some single dates, or one-on-one dates, as I like to call them. It's actually two. One is with Mark Anthony and Jeffrey, and the other is with Blue and Marcia, and some people call her Marcy or whatever. And when I see Jeffrey and Mark, and they go deep immediately. Mark Anthony wants to know, like, what is she looking for to, in a husband or whatever. I'm like, dang, I thought this was Ready to Love, not Married at First Sight. I mean, you gotta get in love first before they talk about a husband. But we all know that Jeffrey is looking for primarily a father for them 3 kids or whatever. But here's the thing. I totally get the single mother thing and being dedicated and how sensitive that subject is, where, you need people to understand that that's like pretty much your life or whatever. But with leading with that, how can you talk about somebody being your husband when she using phrases like, I'm 100% mom, and these are my love, my life. And I got that. The kids are the center and all that. But it doesn't sound like she has room for, her husband. It just more sounds like it's serving her side. I need a daddy for these kids, and they the love of my life. I'm all about them, and I guess you can fit in where we get in. And that's going to be kind of difficult for Mark Anthony, because he said not only he doesn't have kids, he's never dated a woman with kids. I don't know if I believe that, but we're going to go with it. But that's the thing. That's what Jeffrey has to lead, and she can't really take anything further until she knows, like, hey, I got 3 kids. They need daddies. Can you be that daddy? And then we could talk about all that other stuff later. So Mark Anthony, he's not convincingly all in. Even Jeffrey questioned him, because saying, like, are you okay with a blended family? He's like, well, my background, I came from that, and I'm kind of used to that. Like, and she's asking him directly. She's very direct with him, like, no, are you okay with that? Can you want to blend in our family, be my kid's daddy, and we live happily ever after? But that's her. That's what she's offering. But Anyway, good luck with that. Let's go to the other date. We got Blue and Marcia, and off the break, I got like buddy vibes. You know, they start out with the high fives and all that. They taking shots, and they went to like a real nice restaurant. The food was like very creative. It looked like almost artwork, and we learned that Marcia is pretty much the exact opposite of what Blue is looking for. Marcia doesn't like the outdoors. She doesn't like animals. She doesn't like nature. And Blue is just that guy. You see, he was out in the. He's the one who's supposed to have brought the fellas to fish at the pier or whatever, and he likes to go camping and all of that. And after Marcia said everything that he didn't like, she's like, "Oh yeah, we'll work it out. We'll work it out." I'm like, "How you gonna work that out? That can't be worked out. You need another guy. It don't work." And then she doubled down and said, like, pretty much, "I don't really want to deal with a guy with kids who needs baggage." And that kind of slipped through the cracks. So that date was an absolute disaster. But everybody still smiled. It was done with a smile. And just a little detail I picked out. I'm thinking like Blue's this man of the world. He's got a club. He's got hookah bars, liquor store. He traveled on a Tuesday just because, and he never ate an oyster. Now, granted, I know some people are allergic to seafood. Some people don't want to eat oysters. I get that. It took me many, many years to get there to oysters, but he's a well-traveled, worldly man, and he act like he don't know what to do with an oyster. I thought that kind of surprised me. It didn't seem to make sense. I don't know, but let's go on over. We trying to they getting the tickets together for the boat ride. So Captain Tommy, he got the whole group out in the baking Miami sun, and he Tommy got to do his Tommy thing. He like, all aboard. I always wanted to say that. I mean, whew, Tommy's a lot for me. Y'all love him out there. Like, oh, that's my corny uncle or whatever. But I don't know. But Captain Tommy, he lets the group know that Andre, he's going to be completely removing himself from the process because he got C19. And pretty much everybody was shocked. And Cynthia was like, oh, she's sad. Because she thought like she had this wonderful connection with Andre. Now he's like totally removing himself. And I said it in my last review. I was like, I wasn't moved by that date. A lot of people was. I mean, they people had like whole segments on this thing. It's so touching. They connected, they bonded, and all that. Andre gone with the C19, and if the connection was all that, guess what? Cynthia would have went with him as well. So I don't understand what's going on. Cynthia's moving on. She getting on the boat. She getting on Tommy's boat, and she trying to find a new boo or whatever. And like that's it. I'm thinking like Andre could have recovered and then came back. See, to me that shows like he really didn't want to be there. And who knows if that was even the real deal. But as I said, if Cynthia was all about him, because she was, I mean, the last episode, she was like, he is the one. If he was the one, she would have self-eliminated right on that dock. Well, not only that, she would have self-eliminated before that because she would have got the information directly from Andre and say, hey, I'm not coming back. Let's do this thing in real life. But anyway, we on the boat and we see Cynthia. Again, she's already moved forward. And she's lost the love of her life, Andre. And she's talking to the guy, Anthony. Now I've been hollering and fussing about like they're not rotating the people. We seeing the same people. And now I regret I said it because we see Cynthia and she's talking to Anthony and she's heard such good things about Anthony. And he was like, did you? I was like, okay. And Cynthia actually asked Anthony, so what does love look like to you? Like, while you're in a relationship. And Cynthia says, like, what I tell women is like, if a man has children and they don't change him, then nothing will. I'm like, what that got to do with being in a relationship and in love? Like, to me, like, what I got from the conversation, like, they were trying to out deep each other. Who's going to be the deepest? Like, yeah. And, Andy get to talking, of course, my daughter is the love of my life. I'm her first love, and I teach her how to, feel love and show her what treatment is. And I actually quit my job just to show my daughter what love is and all that, that stuff. And like I said, they was just to me, they was just like more kind of they were kind of competing. And Cynthia pretty much said that Anthony is the male version of her, and I totally agree because Anthony was like, I just learned so much about Cynthia, this one, and you know, what can I say? Cynthia was heartbroken over Andre gone, but she wasn't the only one mourning the loss of Andre. Jeffrey is recovering, but she said she's going to focus on Mark Anthony to recover from Andre not being there. I didn't know they were really like that. They showed him like bumping fists or whatever and talking, but I didn't know they had like a true connection. I guess there's a lot we don't see behind the scenes, and I think sometimes people kind of play up their connections. So the worst part of the whole episode was when Blake on the boat ride, he pulled Sue-Ann to the side and he rewarded her because she aligned herself with him, like taking up for him, and by her pretty much giving him the information that from the ladies' lounge that Jeffrey said that, hey, Blake has already picked this woman, but he's like harassing me and all that kind of stuff. So he gives Sue-Ann a bracelet, and I was thinking like, Sue-Ann, like, you don't see what he's doing. Like, you're an attorney. Like, you can't outsmart this guy. He's only rewarding you for leaking some information out of the ladies' lounge. And she's like, oh, he's so intentional. He's stepping up to the plate. Like, the man, when he gave it to her, it was more like a bribe or payoff or whatever. It wasn't like, you mean so much to me. You've touched my heart and none of that. He's just like, here, thank you for telling me that information or whatever. And she was touched by that. And I'm just thinking, it's got to be like a self-esteem thing, because I'm thinking like a beautiful woman like Sue-Ann, who's accomplished. She doesn't have any children. Like, what's the issue? Like, why is she even on the show? But two, I'm starting to see it. It's more like what everybody's saying. She is pretty much a pick me, and that's sad to see, because it shouldn't be like that. She should have these guys lined up, or she shouldn't even need to be on the show. So let's go to the next interaction. We see Smooth Tony from up top. He's talking to Morgan, and I said it in the beginning of this season. I was like, Morgan is like the top of these ladies. And now I kind of see why she's on this show. Because, like, she is telling Tony, like, oh, you're like husband material. And she talking, like, people always want my baby. Talking about Tony and, and just like, this lady is so far in. But I'm going to say in her confessional, she's kind of singing another tune. So I'm thinking like this is post dating Tony, because in her confessional, she's talking about like the man is actually neglecting her. The man act like he don't even really want to be around her. Like, she's got to she has to fight for his attention. And Tony kind of sees it more so of like she's being insecure about him. And really, when it's her intuition, because she thinks Tony is too smooth and that he is talking to every woman like that, in which he is. And it's like she begged him almost to be there. Like, well, when you leave, don't be gone too long or whatever. Because smooth talking Tony got to go make his rounds and talk the same stuff about being a good husband. And he rub feet and paint toenails and all that kind of stuff. But Morgan, or she just used her brain. She know what's up with Tony. So I'm like, no, like Cynthia's still my favorite at this point, but I truly see why Morgan is on the show. I get it now. I didn't, looks ain't everything. So we see on the boat, all the whole group is around the bar. And Tommy left them some type of fishbowl game, like with different questions in it, like who's the best kisser, or kiss your strongest connection, or rub the feet of your strongest connection. Now, in these shows, the game is always supposed to be fun, but it always end up causing drama, and people usually get their feelings hurt somewhere along the line. And And on this episode, it was we saw the same thing. Like Tony kind of felt the way that Morgan said that Lyndon was the sexiest guy out the group, and Demario, I mean, he got so heated. Them eyes went like this when Jeffrey actually kissed Mark Anthony. I mean, he was like, from that moment, like he was done. He wasn't playing no games. He already thought he already had signed the birth certificates to her children and everything. Like he the daddy and adopted them and all that. But I guess Mark Anthony gonna be the stepdaddy. Gonna have to scratch his name off the birth certificate and do something else. So throughout that process, a connection I was like really surprised about. It was showing that Corvea and Demario has a connection. And I'm like, I've only seen them interact once, maybe twice. I don't know. They were talking about shoes or something like that. I didn't know that they had something going on. And just to hear them speak, they going deep about like how much they care about their family, what family means to them. And now, we get to the bottom of, in my opinion, where Corvea's materialism come from. She grew up in poverty, pretty much. We're gonna put it like that. Low income housing. That's her background. And she actually said out of her mouth that her mother spoiled her by putting her out the house early. That childhood trauma is something. People have like a warped sense of thinking. Now, and back in the days, that was a thing. But, I mean, back in the days, people was trying to get out the house. You didn't really have to push them out the house. But her wording is funny. But I get it now, why she got to have it all. And don't get me wrong, because, you hear all through the comments, I be on different panels, like, oh, well, you must have a problem with her wanting nice things, or you're insecure about, because a woman presents like that. No, because, like, when you live in that life, you ain't gotta say it. It show up in everything you do. When you look at your hand, it show up on your ring. When you pull up with your truck or your car, it show up. Your teeth is right. Your bags and shoes and all of that. If that's what you aspire to do, it speaks for itself. You ain't gotta tell somebody, oh, I only take $10,000 yacht trips on the weekends, and I only drink $4,000 champagne and all that. You ain't got to sell that lifestyle. If you live in that lifestyle, you can see it. But anyway, let's keep on moving. And remember I brought up like how Blake had the absolute worst scene in this episode. I'm thinking like, oh, we seen the worst. No, Blake proved me wrong. He broke his own record and gave me another more worse scene. And he actually pulled Jeffrey to the side, and you can tell Jeffrey was uncomfortable. She even mentioned a little bit like, oh, you're going to pull me out of my comfort zone or whatever. And, I mean, he wanted to get her away from everybody. He went upstairs, and he needed some information from Jeffrey. And I can truly say that I enjoy the way Jeffrey handled herself in this situation. Now, people, as of lately, the past few years, tend to throw around those terms like gaslighter, narcissist. When you look at Blake, he is the definition of a narcissist. All about self, won't take any accountability, and that's exactly what he did with Jeffrey. He sat her down on a one-on-one talk just to try to get her to explain herself for some information that he wasn't going to give, that Sue Ann told him. So, and Jeffrey broke it down pretty clear. He's like, so you want me to tell you why I think you're hurt by what I'm saying? Because she like, hurt? Like, hurt? Because, like, she's very confident. Like, I didn't lie about anything or whatever. And Jeffrey, and she's like, well, why do you bring me? Well, that's okay. We're just going to agree to leave it where it is. Like, and the first thing I think, y'all loving this guy. I mean, for real, y'all loving this guy. I mean, like, I'm getting scared of y'all. It's saying something about y'all. Y'all loving this guy. Forget all the looks, like from the beginning and the consensus from day one. This man has been combative, argumentative, pompous, arrogant, all the negatives. But y'all loving this guy. I'm afraid. But let's keep going. Let's go to Jonice and Tony. Now, same thing with the Cynthia thing from last episode. Jonice get to breaking down, crying about saying like she don't want to be alone and is lonely and she want a kid and she want family. And a lot of people say no, she's just expressing herself. Like I don't have a problem with anyone crying, a woman, a man. That's why they gave us tear ducts. But when you're supposed to be head first in a process trying to find love, and when you talk about you being lonely and the sheets are cold at night and you got to eat one bowl of oatmeal by yourself at 12:01, all of that stuff, that's some stuff that needs to be cleaned up. That ain't just expressing yourself. So you know Too Smooth Tony from up top gonna play it off like, girl, you got me, you got me feeling something. I haven't felt like this in a long time, he's such a cornball. But Jonice she's eating it up. She's loving. She did give him a church hug, but she's just so glad that he could support her in this moment. She needed that support. So let's go to the funniest moment. I'm naming different moments because it feels like every episode there is always a moment. The funniest moment to me is when Jeffrey went to directly and indirectly address the situation with Sue Ann while Demario was sitting there. She got to talking, just trying to explain it to Demario, but not really talking to Sue Ann, but still making her part of the conversation. And she really put it out there like Sue Ann was straight caping for Blake because, like, not only I wish she would address directly, she should have said, "Hey, Sue Ann, didn't Tommy say whatever is said in the ladies' lounge stays in the ladies' lounge? So you had no right to go tell Blake anything that I said, even though it was the truth." But the funny part was when she's like, once I started speaking on Blake, that's what Jeffrey said, and she said Sue Ann got her cape out and just got the cape, and she just was going to the rescue. That's what the episode is called, Sue the Advocate or whatever, because she was fighting so hard for Blake, her new man who gives her the bracelet, her alliance, because she's earning her bracelet. And Sue Ann, she must be a defense attorney, because like I said, she was defending that man but not defending the man, saying like, oh, she just wants to find out if Jeffrey misinterpreted the information and all that, or does she need to work on her style of communication? Like, she going way too deep, not for her to be her man or whatever. So it's kind of sad. It's sad, but it was funny at the same time because she like pretty much shut Sue Ann down. So Tommy shows up and break up the mixer. He's looking for, trying to supply his love language. He like, hey, everybody, hey, give it up, 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 give it up. Everybody like, okay, Tommy, you look great for 56. My God, Tommy needs to go. They need real love experts to help them navigate through this, because obviously on this show looking for love, or supposed to be. I mean, it's so ridiculous. But Tommy got to have his moment. What's up, party people? He give it up, because we got all this motion in the ocean and salt in your drawers. Then Tom ended with love overboard. I wanted to break my TV, but it's probably the second one I broke, so I can't break another one. So anyway, Captain Tommy gathered the guys all up together to deliberate, and he just wants to know what ladies are at the top, at the bottom. And the ladies at the top is usually the people who they were conversating throughout the boat, and it went well with. Now, the bottom are the ladies who the guys are pretty much salty with those games that have been played. Like I said, Demario is so mad with Jeffrey because she kissed Mark Anthony. Of course, Blake is trying to get rid of Jeffrey because she revealed who he was and all of that. And one thing I was surprised about, a top lady, Tony said that Marcia is his top lady. I'm thinking, wasn't you talking on his love and I'm gonna be your husband, the Morgan and all that? And that's why she got to be suspicious. But I guess they was doing like a little back and forth thing, the same way that Morgan said that um, Lyndon was the sexiest man there. I think there was shots back at each other. They just playing some kind of game. So, Tommy just pretty much leaves it up to the guys to who they're going to eliminate. He don't really need to hear no information. But he kind of, to me, pushed the idea like, oh, we got that lifeline. We got that new lifeline you want to use. I mean, it's so dumb. It's so stupid. And it didn't help nothing. It just made things worse. So I hate that new lifeline thing. I don't really like it or understand it for real. But these people, they're a group, but they're not together. They there to find who they love. So trying to get somebody to hold on to somebody or put somebody off for their own benefit, nah, that ain't really how it worked. But it got so bad that DeMario and Mark Anthony, they got into a heated conversation because really DeMario's trying to keep Corvea because ain't nobody feeling Corvea. They think she a gold digger. So, they want to use the lifeline. And I mean, it got so bad that Uncle Blue had to like, hey guys, calm down. That didn't help nothing. DeMario, his eyes got all big and they yelling back and forth or whatever. Like, no, we need to do it right now, bro. I'm like, it must be a new generation thing because like we can't have no discussion like that. Those are like verbal fighting actions. Who needs that? Why they got to do all that? So long and short, we get to the bottom three ladies. Normally it's two, but I guess with this lifeline thing, you gotta dress it up, and so now it's Corvea, Jeffrey, and Marcia, and they doing something else I always hate. They get one of the guys or cast members to do the deliberations and bring them down, and y'all know for sure that I'm not a Corvea fan at all, but I absolutely hated the way Tony chastised her off of something that Blue said, like, Corvea. Now, you say a lot of things before you think and all that. I'm like, and you need to tone it down. She should have said, who the is you? I'm gone. Self-eliminate or whatever. But it didn't. It just went to be continued. Like, who gives a person a right to put all that extra stuff on it, like to attack your character? Again, I'm not a Corvea fan at all, but I hated the way Tony did her. So we got to see what happens next week. They really kind of didn't show who went or who got eliminated. So we're going to find out next week. And that was about it for this episode. Drop down in the comments. Tell me what you thought. Something I missed. I pretty much got it all. But I need to hear what y'all feel, what y'all think. And as I always tell y'all could be anywhere in this YouTube world, but you're here with me. I really appreciate it, and I really mean it. Woo, take this thing off.